Good afternoon. Hope you all are doing great. Wishing you all a very happy Diwali and stay safe. Glad that we are all celebrating Diwali together here on speaking on such an important topic. It'd be great if everyone could mute themselves and keep their cameras on. Also, I would like to add a feedback form will be sent on the chat box at the end of the session, so kindly please do fill it. I'm Hiba Siddiqui, the host for today, along with co-host Sadvika. So with great pleasure, I welcome all of you to Nazariya, the panel discussion. Our panel discussion for today would revolve around the topics prevailing rape culture, importance of consent, sexual abuse, moral policing, and victim shaming, which has been organized by the Women's Development Cell of HR College. Under the guidance of our principal and teacher in charge, the Women's Development Cell of HR College has always taken a strong stand against all social injustice and misconduct by teaching the students to speak their stand and to always stand up for what they believe in. From organizing rallies to virtual events, we have covered all aspects of the change we intend to create. We have actively participated and organized many campaigns, seminars, and rallies. Furthermore, we've collaborated with NGOs, which has successfully ignited a spark in each and one of us, which always keeps us going. The Women's Development Cell is one such passionate club who aims to spread awareness about gender equality and not female superiority. We strive to break stereotype and fight against social patriarchy and bridge the gap between gender equality. We would like to take this opportunity to thank our principal, Ms. Pooja Ramchandani, who has been a strong pillar and support and guidance for all of us. Her constant encouragement motivates us to push our boundaries and achieve excellence. Pooja ma'am will be joining us shortly. So I would now like to introduce our professor in charge, Ms. Saleha Syed, who has been the backbone of the Women's Development Cell for years. Her passion for empowerment and equality is remarkable. She has shown immense belief in us by accepting our crazy yet sensible ideas. Thank you so much, ma'am, for always keeping the platform open. And ma'am, could you say something? I would request you to say a few words.
Already started and discussed, so I don't want to speak more. I just said that I want to listen to such a great speaker you have for today. So I really welcome all the three wonderful, beautiful guests of today, and desperate to.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, before moving forward, I would request David to play a video which will give you a much more better insight on what our topic for today is.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. So hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna kill for you the whole damn world. And if that diamond ring turns brass, Mama's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that looking glass gets broke, Mama's gonna buy you a winter cloak. And if that winter cloak's too cold, Mama's gonna buy you a pile of gold. And if that gold was stolen too, Mama's gonna.
I hope everyone liked the video. Now I'd request Pranjal to explain our social media campaign.
Hello everyone, I am Pranjal and
Just a minute, Pranjal, just a minute. It was
Okay.
amazing video, Hiba, amazing video. It was too good. It's too good. Go ahead, Pranjal.
thank you ma'am. So hello everyone, I am Pranjal and today I'm here to explain a social media initiative that the Women Development Cell has come up with. We, the Women Development Cell, referring to the video you just saw, has come up with a campaign against rape by incorporating a red cross in our pictures. The red cross stands for every mishap we as a society are facing right now. The word sexual assault is a really, really small word right now. We are literally facing sexual terrorism. And the Women Development Cell has decided to raise our voice against it with our social media campaign. We started our campaign with the amazing support of our principal in charge, our vice principal, various faculty members, and various clubs of the HR college. We are now proudly taking our campaign to the next level by including our frontline warriors like doctors, nurses, teachers, and even police officers in the campaign who are standing strong against rape. The aim of the campaign is to spread awareness regarding rape and being the voice of at least one person who couldn't do it by themselves. To be a part of this campaign, all you have to do is click a picture with a red cross, show your creativity to us, and you can mail it to us on our ID. So let us start by changing our own selves to bring a change in the society and at the world at large. क्योंकि नजरिया बदलेगा तभी हम बदलेंगे. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Pranjal. Now I'd request Selena ma'am to inaugurate the event and Satvika to continue further. Satvika, you can continue. You can start.
Would like to introduce you to our very first panelist, Ms. Shraddha Agarwal.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just switching on my video and getting switched off. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
First of all, I would like to thank our guest panelists for taking time to be with our batch of developing and dynamic, very young mind. I would also like to place on record my sincere gratitude to our principal, which she said that she'll be joining any moment. She got stuck somewhere, so she'll be joining any moment. Has always stood behind us with all their might. Give me and my young team of students in WDC all the creative freedom they aspire and they need. There has been never a no for anything. Yes, I think so. My WDC team will accept this and will agree this. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
This allow all of us freely indulge in activities which allow us to raise the bar even higher. We seek and believe we'll have all our support going forward as the WDC's team strives to scale bigger and bigger and great height. I would also like to thank all my colleagues who have really, really helped us and have shared their photographs with the Red Cross. And I'm thankful to my great panelists, people who are here now to share their thoughts. I think so, Shraddha, Balaji, and the third one, Devyangana. So all three great panelists, over to you. So you can start the event. Hiba, you can introduce your first panelist. I think so first Shraddha, and then second Balaji, and the third one Devyangana. So you can start the event. Warm welcome to all the three panelists.
A very good afternoon to one and all present over here. I'm Satvika, the co-host for the day, and I would like to introduce you to our very first panelist, Ms. Shraddha Agarwal, who by profession is a journalist, a reporter, and a content creator at People's Archive of Rural...
Editor. I'm a content editor.
Okay. I would correct myself, a journalist, a reporter, and a content editor at People's Archive of Rural India, PARI. PARI is a digital journalism platform that focuses on rural journalism and publishes various articles. Ms. Agarwal has written numerous articles that brings out the feelings and emotions of rural India. Apart from being a great reporter, she also runs an Instagram page, Women with Hormones, which is an initiative to create awareness and to encourage women to share their stories relating to PCOS and PCOD. Since Ms. Agarwal has been on field, she'd be able to give us a better insight on the emotions and issues that the rural women face. Apart from that, she'd also be sharing her perspective on the representation of women in Bollywood and media. I would request Ms. Agarwal to kindly take over.
Thank you, Karthika. That was very sweet of you to say all those nice things about me. It's good to get validation. Before I start today and I get into this discussion, I want us all to reflect on how much our lives would be different if rape culture didn't exist in the first place. A couple of days ago, I asked some women on social media what are the things that they would do if they knew that rape culture didn't exist or if they had the same freedom as a cisgender man. And the things that they said were just heartbreaking. One of them said that I would like to go out for walks at night, listen to music, and just loiter around. Another one said that I would like to go to washrooms without having other women accompany me. Another one said that I would just want to wear the clothes I want and then post pictures I'm comfortable in without any apprehensions. Then one of them went on to say that I would open the front door without the fear of getting attacked or raped. Another one, of course, said again that I would just want to walk late during late hours without constantly looking back to see if I'm being followed or not and without any anxieties. All of them had the same sentiment of not wanting to live in a constant state of panic or not wanting to be alert at all times. Women and non-binaries listening in, I want you to think of the things that you would do if you know that you had the same freedom as a cisgender man. And to the men who are listening in, I want you to reflect on the fact that the freedom that you at times take for granted is a freedom that is a very much privilege for us. These things, being out late night for a walk or to live without the fear of being sexually harassed, are such basic liberties that we should get to experience. But instead, we have a whole culture influenced by Bollywood and other instruments of mass media that trivializes sexual abuse and sexual violence. We have movies where harassment against women is just normalized and excused. We have Kabir Singh, a character like Kabir Singh, which is an extremely misogynist character and who in the movie threatens to rape a girl at a gunpoint. Then there are other movies like Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein and Ranjana, where the stalking is equated to love, to wooing, and the use of threat is as a means to acquire women is justified. So because I love you, it's okay if I stalk you and harass you constantly. For example, in Ranjana, the protagonist threatens to kill himself to show how much he loves the girl, and the refusal to take no for an answer is glorified because, of course, Mardangi. And we also have movies where homosexuals and the characters from LGBTQI community are used for mere comic relief while completely rationalizing toxic masculinity. We have these disgusting famous lyrics that say that tu haan kar ya na kar tu hai meri kiran, where the consent completely goes out for a toss. Or any lyric that you pick out from a Hani Singh song, you will see how sexist they are and how much women are objectifying these lyrics. And then there's this trashy garbage song from Dabang that says, "Main to tandoori murgi hu yaar, gatkali saiya alcohol se." This kind of rubbish still continues to exist and applauded even. I mean, these movies goes on to make like crores and crores of rupees. And when people like Manisha Gulati, who's the chief of the Punjab State Commission for Women, filed a complaint against the rapper Hani Singh for his sexist song lyrics, his fans started to send her rape threats. Rape threats are very common. I mean, journalists, activists, anyone who comes out and speaks or tells their story instantly starts to get rape threats. We have somehow justified the nature of these movies as well and songs by saying that they represent only the reality of our times, even though various studies have shown that films create influences and biases in the minds of people. Apart from this, we also have very real politicians and judges and other men in power making blatantly misogynist statements. I mean, recently being the Hathras case where a 19-year-old Dalit woman was raped by 4 upper caste men, after which we had statements like, and I quote, "rise in unemployment causes men to rape because sex is an natural in men, just like food. And mind you, this was said by a former Supreme Court judge and the current jurist of this country, who's Mr. Markinde Kazu. We have others. We have the former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh and the founder of Samajwadi Party, Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav, whose son also doesn't, he also keeps on, he keeps making blatant early misogynist statements. Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav had said that, and again, this is a quote, "Ladko se galti ho jati hai," encouraging the whole boys will be boys and mistakes can be made. And then, of course, the current Chief Minister of the Uttar Pradesh saying things like women are not capable of being left alone or independent. Or, of course, we have our current Samajwadi Party's MLA Abu Azmi, who said if a woman is raped, then both the women, both the boy and girl should be jailed, should be punished. And asking why is there no death penalty for women who have consensual sex outside marriage? Basically saying that if a woman cheats on her husband, she should be hanged. The thing is that these are all elected men in positions of power. These are the kind of men that represent us and our country. And frankly, I can go on and on because the list of men who endorse rape culture and victim shaming is endless, and we all know that. Even when the incidents like Hathras managed to make national news, we did not hear a single word from the Ministry of Women and Child Development. While during Nirbhaya, we had Smriti Irani presenting bangers to the then Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh. This goes on to say that how much women's bodies are politicized and how much they're used as a weapon. In both the cases, of course, I'm saying Hathras and Nirbhaya, the rape cases are condemned. But it is also important to locate how caste and gender hierarchies intersect to doubly oppress a woman's body using crimes like rape. And in mainstream discourses, it's important that we highlight the systematic oppression on Dalit women. The intersectionality of gender, class, and caste always needs to be taken into account. The National Crime Records Bureau data has suggested that 4 Dalit women are raped every single day. There's a failure in prosecuting rape cases, of course, especially of the women who belong from the lower caste. Another major problem in the system. For women who decides to report rape, she has to face biases and prejudices starting from the doctor to the police and to her family, who often encourages her to stay silent or to not report that case. I remember that in July, in Bihar's Araria district, there was a gang rape survivor who was jailed. A gang rape survivor was jailed along with 2 other social workers who was helping her fight the case over a disagreement that they had in court. The judge went on to say to the 22-year-old that pagal badtameez ladki, tumko koi tamiz nahi sikhaye. I'm not saying that the people in our system don't condemn rape, but there's a very problematic attitude of reducing a woman's honor to her vagina, which is what puts her on a pedestal of Bharat ki beti or Bharat ki behan or Bharat ki mata. And then whose so-called honor, then the man has to protect. And in that very social context, sometimes the woman also gets raped. Somehow a crime like rape against women becomes a question of honor for men around her. In most cases of rape, it's not about women. It somehow just becomes about everything about men. And this is perhaps one of the reasons that 99.1% cases of sexual assault goes unreported. And this is the data recorded by the government resources. We don't consider women as just individuals with pursuit in life. We regard them as Bharat ki beti, while we create institutions that allow Bharat ki beti to rape us. And in some cases, rape with impunity. Women are time and again, and this really irritates me. Women are time and again referred to and regarded as extensions of men. You don't have to be somebody's wife, sister, or mother or daughter to be treated respectfully. You don't have to be an extension and regarded as men to be humanized. You being a woman is reason enough. And while all of this, and I'm sorry, please stop me if I'm going too fast, or there's something that you didn't catch on, I'd not mind repeating the thing. And while all of this is happening, the many more stories and issues of the women from remote villages get completely swept under the rug, like the story of a 40-year-old girl from the Maharashtra's Wadi village. She's somebody who has intellectual disability, and this woman who lives in Wadi village is forced, women like her in the villages are forced to get hysterectomies. Hysterectomy is a surgical process where the uterus of the woman is removed. Okay, so these kind of women, they are forced to do this because their sexual and reproductive rights are violated. So if a man has done something to that woman, so to ensure that she doesn't get pregnant, they go on to get hysterectomies. And even then, even in these cases, the onus, and in most cases, the onus and consequences of being sexually abused and raped is on a woman and her body. We have another story from Maharashtra's Nandurbar district, reported by a brilliant journalist, Jyoti Shinoli. She's a colleague of mine at Pari. You know, the story is on women living in hilly areas of Nandurbar district who are unable to access any kind of medical facilities. You know, one of them is a 23-year-old woman who falls unconscious at 3 a.m. in the night in unbearable pain because her uterus has slips out of the vagina. And in the middle of the night, you're not going to have any medical facilities coming to that kind of an area. They are already, for them to carry a patient to the nearest PHC or nearest rural hospital, they need to carry them on those bamboo sticks. Okay, and now she is living with that prolapsed uterus. And while she's living with that, every day she climbs down, up and down the hill 2 kilometers just to fetch water. And another woman with the same condition, with the condition of prolapsed uterus, says that she has to push her uterus back with her sari when it starts to descend and protrude from her vagina. You know, important stories like this, they don't make it on national news because we are so hell-bent on covering Bollywood actresses and their alleged drug consumption. And even when the way the coverage of Riya Chakraborty was shown in the televisions was completely misogynist. She was hounded by so many media professionals. It's Children's Day today, and I think it's important that I highlight some data. NCRB had recorded that every hour, 5 cases of child sexual abuse are reported in India. The National Family Health Survey 4 reveals that 1 in 5 adults and girls experience physical violence since age 15. The children are now left more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse since the COVID-19 lockdown. Speaking of which, there's another very sad story by Pari's brilliant reporter Akansha on the complex lives of sex workers living in Kamatipura, Mumbai. You know, one of whom comes home just, I think this was in the month of June, one of whom has come home to find that her 5-year-old daughter was sexually abused by one of her colleagues' partner. And this goes on to say that the lives of children of sex workers living under lockdown is now in constant danger. You know, as one of the women who puts it, we live in a place where even if our daughters are eaten by these men, no one will come to even ask. And not just the daughters, but also the male children are at risk. There has been anyway increase in domestic violence against women, and now with the pandemic, many are locked at home with their abusers. The National Commission for Women received 2,043 complaints alone of crimes against women in the month of June. In just the month of June. You know, all of what I spoke right now is the direct or indirect product of rape culture, victim shaming, moral policing, justifying misogynist behavior, and demanding women make unreasonable sacrifices like not wearing shorts or not going out late at night, or, you know, not speaking with a certain kind of man. You know, making these unreasonable sacrifices to avoid getting assaulted is all a years and years of result of the years and years of patriarchy that considers us women as second-class citizens, or someone whose sole purpose here is to serve for the behest of men. You know, it's important to understand that the rape is a part of a gigantic continuum of oppression and discrimination against women, which started before we were born and unfortunately will continue even after we die. And for this to change, and I know that Divyangana is going to focus on the solutions part of it, for this to change, we need to call out and hold sexist institutional response accountable. We need to believe when women come out with their stories. We need more women in positions of power. We need to be inclusive of communities and women that are targeted precisely for caste and identity, just like the Hathras case victim. And we need to collectively and rigorously mobilize and fight to bring an end to patriarchy. There's still a lot that I haven't covered, especially marital rape, which is still very legal in this lovely country, and male rapes, which I'm hoping Divyangana would shed some light on. You know, but before I go, I want to shamelessly give shout out to two of my favorite feminist projects on Instagram. One is my own, of course. It's Women with Hormones, where I share stories of women with hormonal disorders like PCOS and PCOD and the implications of that on our mental health. And the second one is a beautiful project called Women at Leisure, where they put out photographs of women just resting, playing, laughing, and just being at leisure. While unlike the mainstream portrayal of women, where we are either over sexualized or shown as perennially suffering some bichari or a kya hoga iska. So the founder of the project, Surbhi Yadav, was a friend of mine, very nicely says that this is what rape culture does, Rape culture shows an obvious thing like women just existing, women just being, as something that is radical. And I think that's it from my part. I think I went on too fast.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we'll definitely check out the pages that you mentioned. And thank you so much for such a great insight. We got to learn a lot. So just now we saw what Bharat ki beti goes through. But what about the other Bharat ke bache? So our next panelist is R. Balaji, who is a TEDx speaker and a queer storyteller, who identify themselves as a gender fluid homosexual person and who has been working tirelessly towards breaking the gender stigma when narrating their coming out journey. They've always been vocal about their struggle and have inspired thousands of people to come out of their shell. They visit various corporates, schools, and colleges to conduct workshops on gender inclusivity, and have also started a series, #Let's Educate, on their Instagram page to spread the joy of love and acceptance. Apart from being a great motivational speaker, they've also been featured in various reputed publications like The Quint, The Times of India, and have been part of various award-winning campaigns. R. Balaji is a survivor of child sexual abuse and would share their story, and they would also shed light on the rapes in the LGBTQ space. I would request R. Balaji to kindly take over.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Satvika, for such a lovely introduction. You made my day, actually. First of all, happy Diwali to everyone, and I'm sure you guys are going to have a rocking Diwali. Firstly, Shraddha, thank you so much for enlightening us whatever has been happening in Bollywood, since I'm from that industry, and thank you so much. And you literally opened my eyes and made me see the reality of the industry. And though I'm a part of this industry, I think since last 9 years, it's going to be my 10th year. I've been working with different celebrities, actors, actresses, but I've never actually seen, what's the reality behind all this glamour, going for parties and all, which I've never been for any Bollywood parties. I never go for any parties. That's why maybe I'm not kind of that much highlighted in this industry. But it's okay. I mean, I'm not at all feeling bad about it. But thank you so much for enlightening us with such wonderful thought and wonderful research, of course, about the industry. Thank you so much. So guys, I'm Balaji, of course. As Satvika said, I am a gender fluid homosexual person. Gender fluid, basically for people who doesn't know the meaning of gender fluid, for me, in a simple language, I don't give importance to gender. Gender is just one word for me, which is very complicated, which kind of discriminates people, judges people based on their sex, gender, whatever it is. So for me, gender doesn't exist. More than that, I would say Google says gender is an external appearance of an individual judged on the basis of their clothing, voice, and behavior. But I'm sorry, it's bullshit. The definition, I don't agree with this definition. For me, gender is someone's happiness, gender is someone's soul, gender is someone's spirit. What you feel from inside, that defines your gender. Your genitals doesn't define your gender. Your spirit, your happiness, your soul defines your gender. Most importantly, always keep that in mind. Okay. And we have been talking about rape culture as a whole, but I want to talk about something which people hesitate, before talking about it. That is male rape. कई लोग बोलते हैं मजाक कर रहा है ये तो, अरे लड़कों को कौन रेप कर सकता है ना? Many people might be thinking that, whatever I'm wearing today, let me clarify. Of course, I'm gender fluid. Of course, I love expressing multiple genders. I don't consider myself in one specific gender non-binary, you can say. I love being a man. I love being a woman. So yeah, I'm not a transgender again. Let me clarify that to you. I love being me. I love doing things whatever that makes me happy from inside. That's why I'm wearing bindi. That's why I'm wearing lipstick. That makes me happy. That makes me shine inside out. That's what I believe. And we all have one life. I think it's very, very important to live that one life the way you want to than anyone else. So coming to male rape, a lot of people have been saying, ये तो गलत, ऐसा तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, सिर्फ लड़कियों के साथ होता है. People don't take it seriously when it comes to male rape, But I went through this actually. I was talking to Shraddha and Divyangna and Krish, of course, last night, and I was just telling that whenever I talk about my coming out journey or my, of course, the sexual abuse moment, I think I go back there, I touch it and I come back and I get goosebumps, I was like, mere saath wo hua. I still am not able to believe the fact that I'm out of it and I'm talking to you all, So I was in class 3rd, and first I will tell what exactly happened, and then of course I'm going to be sharing a couple of instances which happened with me when I, grew up and kind of, when I came out as a homosexual gender fluid person. As Shraddha was saying, gender inclusivity, So I was in class 3rd. There was this neighbor, who was staying next to me. He was a 50-year-old guy, and, बचपन से ही मुझे chocolates का बहुत ही, of course, all of us are very fond of chocolates till now, till this date. But that point of time, I was way beyond fond of chocolates. Like, I was crazy, for chocolates. I was a big time foodie, I would say. So this guy actually always used to come to my house, talk to my parents, he was married, of course, and he used to come with his family, talk to me, and always used to look at me and smile. But उस time, I was so amateur, I would say, मुझे पता नहीं था उस हंसी के पीछे भी there is a devil intention he has, like, heinous intentions he has, some kind of wrong intention he has. I didn't know that, he used to give a sweet smile, and he always used to get chocolates for me, always, whenever he used to come to my house, he used to get chocolates, and he used to talk to my parents, and things started happening, developing, and one day what happened, he said that he's feeling very lonely, so he wants to play with me. So he called my parents and he said, "Hey, aap apne bachche ko yahan pe bhej do." And I went there, without any kind of, giving a second thought, I went there, and he gave me chocolates, he gave me a lot of things to eat. And back down then, when he started doing things with me, it was very painful. The first time when he did with me, I didn't have any reaction, because क्या ही पता था मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था. I was in class 3rd. लोग बोलते हैं कि class 3rd में तो आपको समझ जाना चाहिए कि आपके साथ क्या हो रहा है, but you are so small and physically also you're very weak. Of course, आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते, आपको चॉकलेट मिल रहा है, you're eating chocolate, and of course वो आपके साथ जो भी कर रहे हैं, and things started happening. पहली बार जब उन्होंने मेरे साथ किया तो मुझे बहुत ही अजीब लग रहा था, मुझे बहुत ही ज्यादा अजीब लग रहा था, बिकॉज मुझे लग रहा था क्या हो रहा है मेरे साथ, मेरे साथ ये कुछ गलत हो रहा है. मुझे लग रहा था अंदर, लेकिन मैंने लगा कि नहीं बोलना चाहिए, चलो कोई बात नहीं. Second time when he did, of course, this thing started continuing, मेरे साथ होता गया. 3 years constantly this thing happened, from class 3rd till class 5th. फिर एक दिन जाके, of course, घर आ जाते थे. I used to come back home. I couldn't tell this to my parents, of course. I was not in that stage. All I used to do is lock myself in a door, inside a room, and cry about it. My parents always used to, think कि क्या हो रहा है इसके साथ. School में मेरा performance, my academic performance started kind of, declining. teachers started asking कि इसके साथ क्या हो रहा है, is Balaji okay? Because I always used to be active in co-curricular activities, you know. So suddenly वो सब खत्म हो गया. So I used to go to school, study, come back. फिर वो उसके घर बुलाता था, फिर जाते थे, अंधेरा हो जाता था सब कुछ. He used to switch off light. You know, मुझे कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा था. मुझे लग रहा था I've entered some, you know, hell or something, like, you know. But वो बुलाते थे. But he used to call me for chocolates, lot of things, you know, होता क्या. And one day I started bleeding very badly, you know, and मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि क्या हो रहा है मेरे साथ. Of course, तब जाके I thought कि I was in class 5th. Yes, I was in class 5th. And class 5th में मुझे थोड़ा समझ में आ गया था कि मुझे थोड़ा uncomfortable feel हो रहा है शरीर में, you know. बहुत मार्क्स होता था. So whenever I used to take off my clothes, I used to feel कि then I used to पता लगता था कि पीछे कुछ मार्क्स है, कुछ है, शरीर उसने कुछ किया है. I think it's harmful. वो सब I started realizing the fact कि हाँ मेरे साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है, you know. And one day I started bleeding very badly, you know, way beyond, because मुझे किसको बताएं. तब जाके मुझे लगा कि okay, I need to tell this to my parents. So I told this to my parents, but I didn't tell them कि क्या हुआ मेरे साथ. मुझे वो नहीं बताना था. मुझे बस उनको बताना था कि okay, just go tell them कि mama, I'm bleeding. So my mom said गर्मी की वजह से हुआ होगा, nothing else. You know कुछ we'll take you to the doctor, you'll be fine. And doctor examined. Of course, I was staying in a very small township, you know. वहाँ पे ये सब चीज बहुत नई थी लोगों के लिए. अगर बताते भी, you know, तो लोग नहीं समझते. तो मुझे लग रहा था कि मत ही बताओ, क्या करें. And you know, so I went to the doctor. Doctor checked up, पूरा checkup किया doctor ने. And you know, hope you guys are comfortable with Hindi, English, both mix of Hindi and English. Okay, give a thumbs up if you guys are okay with both the languages. Super. So होता क्या है, then I went to the doctor. I just told him कि doctor बहुत pain हो रहा है अंदर, पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है पीछे, bleed भी हो रहा है, तो आप प्लीज, मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या हो रहा है, बिकॉज बहुत ही प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था मुझे, बैठने में प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था. लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टेड कॉम्प्लिकेशंस बढ़नी शुरू हो गई, यू नो. तो डॉक्टर was shocked for a while, and you know, then he said something to my dad. He took my dad, you know, and just said something, you know. मुझे उस टाइम समझ में नहीं आया कि क्या कुछ हुआ है, कि I was also very scared, you know. And he just said कि आपके लड़के के साथ कुछ हुआ है क्या, I mean, you know. उन्होंने पूछा, मैंने सुन लिया. Immediately I went out. I was like, आपके लड़के के साथ कुछ हुआ है? Did anything? कुछ हुआ है? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, but आपको पता होगा since कि आपका बच्चा है. My dad said, no, मेरा लड़का तो मुझे कुछ नहीं बताता, you know. So my dad came home and my parents started asking, what happened to you? I mean, anything, someone do something with you? And I kept my mouth shut. You know, the entire life, I think I would say the biggest mistake what I did, I would say that, you know, I kept quiet. I didn't tell this to anyone because उस टाइम मुझे लगा था कि ये बताना मुनासिब नहीं होगा, because and then slowly the person who abused me, who raped me, he started threatening me. He said कि अगर आप बाहर जाके बताओगे तो मैं आपको मार डालूंगा. And he started using lot of stuffs and all to, you know, to do lot of things. और मुझे बहुत, फिर मैंने ना बोला, एक बार नहीं बोला, दूसरे बार नहीं बोला, तीसरे बार I think I passed out class 5th. I think एक दिन मुझे पता नहीं क्या हुआ, I was like, you know, I thought कि नहीं, मुझे अब बोलना चाहिए. Somewhere I had that willpower अंदर class 5th में कि नहीं बोलना सीखो, क्योंकि मेरे डैड हमेशा बोलते थे बचपन में, you know, learn saying a no. If you are not comfortable with something, learn saying a no, because consent is very, very important. उसी time my dad started teaching me the meaning of consent. Consent नाम की चीज जो होती है ना, it's a very small word, but people don't understand this word, you know. But people take it for granted, you know. They do a lot of things with you. So then I thought कि नहीं, पापा ने तो मुझे ये सिखाया है, okay. And I went to him. He called me again. I went him, and he came nearby me, and I pushed him. You know, I just pushed him धक्का देके आई जस्ट केम बैक, यू नो. बस मुझे वही याद था, वो दैट वाज माय लास्ट फाइनल दिस थिंग वेयर आई पुश्ड हिम एंड आई सेड नो, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा. आई सेड दिस, आप जो कर रहे हो गलत है. आप जो कर रहे हो, आई यूज्ड टू कॉल हिम भैया, भैया आप जो कर रहे हो ये गलत है. एंड आई पुश्ड हिम एंड आई केम बैक. You know, that was my final moment where I said goodbye to him, and he's no more in this world. By the way, I want to tell this. I think few months back, I got this news from someone saying that he's no more. He passed away. He had blood cancer, and I'm not, you know, ashamed with the fact to share that I'm very happy that he's no more. Maybe karma punished him, and that's where he got his lesson, that whatever he did was wrong. He spoiled my entire childhood. I was not able to see a happy go childhood in my life because of him. Every moment where we enjoy our childhood, where we rejoice our childhood, I couldn't see that. Man hi man ghutte gaye, you know, I started suffocating inside. Then when I came to college, of course, when I grew up, of course, I would say school, you know, when I was in class 10th or 12th, mera mazak ban gaya. When I came out as a homosexual person, people started making fun of me, hooting, saying homo aa gaya, homo aa gaya. Corridor mein students used to wait for me. And hamesha mujhe sixth line mein khada kar diya jata tha. 6 is equal to chakka, according to society. That's what people call, right? Chakka, good, meetha, hijda. This is what people, these are some of the words, you know, Shraddha would be knowing it, some of the words which people use for LGBTIQ community to shame them, to defame them, you know. But now I have reached a stage where I kind of handle these kind of comments in my own way. If someone calls me meetha, I tell them, yes, meetha ka English word kya hota hai? Sweet. Yes, I'm sweet to everyone. So what? It's not a wrong word. If someone calls me good, I said good is jaggery, right? English में हम लोग सब खाते हैं, तो इसमें कोई खराब वाली language क्या है? You know? And if someone calls me meetha, I say I turn back and I say you are kadwa. You know, this is how I kind of deal with them. How to deal with these homophobic comments, how to deal with bullying. Abhi bhi, when I shifted to Bombay last year, 1.5 years back, of course I cross-dress, you know, so station pe, Badala station, you know. So after 8, it becomes very deserted, you know, the platform number 1, I'm saying, you know, people would know this. So I was standing, there were a couple of guys who came, पीछे से, and पहले ताली मारा उन्होंने, जो ये ताली मारते हैं ना, right now, so we use this for transgenders, right, to call them, to make fun of them. But this is not actually to make fun of them. ये शगुन होता है actually. आप जब ये करते हो ना, ये ताली ऐसे बजाते, ये शगुन होता है. लोग इसको मजाक बनाते हैं, और किसी को भी LGBTIQ में किसी भी whichever person, a queer, bisexual, a gender fluid person or trans, उनको उनका मजाक बनाने के लोग ऐसे ही बुलाते हैं. लोग मुझे पहले से ही, okay, for 6 years in my school life, I was never called by my name. मुझे किसी ने नाम से नहीं बुलाया. No one called me Balaji. Everyone called me Chakka. Everyone called me 666. ये मेरा नाम था. मेरे बेंच में भी लोगों ने लिख दिया 666 आ गया. बोर्ड में भी लिख देते थे 666 आने वाला है, प्लीज देख लो. So वही नाम से I got used to. हाँ, तो people started clapping and a group of guys were following me and they started calling me Chakka. And I was standing, I was waiting for the train, you know, because I was staying in Navi Mumbai. The frequency of Navi Mumbai train is very less apparently. And एक बंदा आया, एक लड़का आया, फिर से ताली मारा, you know, and उसने मुझसे पूछा तुम बहुत माल लग रही हो आज. मैंने बोला अच्छा ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच, कॉम्प्लीमेंट मिल रहा है, चलो उसको बोलते हैं, थैंक यू सो मच, माल लग रहे हैं, चलो माल ही सही, थैंक यू, बोल दिया आपने. फिर उसने मुझसे बोला, देन ही टोल्ड मी दैट एक बात बताओ, मुझे पूछना था, मेरा तुम्हारे ऊपर दिल आ गया. I'm sorry if someone is feeling uncomfortable, please stop me right there. I want to say that exactly, you know, what I went through and what exactly it gave me the courage to come out of it. So then that guy asked me, कि आप 1 घंटे का कितना लेते हो? चलो एक घंटे नहीं होगा, आप 2 घंटे का कितना लेते हो आप बता दो, आप जैसे लोग तो 2 घंटे में तो मान ही जाओगे. And I didn't answer him. But the best part which I observed was there was a police guy who was standing right beside that guy. And I kept quiet. I knew that police guy already heard everything I overheard. I didn't answer him anything. I just turned back. I said, भैया, I think आपका बुरा टाइम आ गया है. I think, and उन्होंने बोला ये suddenly आप क्या बोल रहे हो? मैंने बोल रहा आप अभी 5 मिनट में आपको पता लग जाएगा आपका बुरा टाइम कैसे आ रहा है. And he turned back. And hats off to the Mumbai police. They took action then and there itself. And I don't know, that would be the best day of their life, that they taught lesson. And I personally went to that police guy and I asked him, आप हमेशा women rape, okay, rape as a common, we need to think about it, women rape, which is a serious issue, but male rape के बारे में कोई पूछता नहीं है. मेरे साथ कई जगह ऐसे हुआ, दिल्ली में भी हुआ, by the way. In Delhi also it happened, in Gurgaon when I was staying there a few years back. वहां पे भी someone touched my back and went. भाग गए वो लोग, बाइक में भाग गए. And I couldn't do anything. They pulled my hair, they came again, they touched my back and again they went. I couldn't do anything. And when I went to the police, they said the police guy wanted to sleep with me. When I went to police with this complaint, he said, मेरे साथ सो जाओ, I will register the complaint. This is what I got to hear from the Delhi police. But the difference, I don't want to compare anyone over here, but the difference, what I found in Mumbai police was they immediately took an action. They made an effort that rape hota hai. That's what, gender inclusivity. It doesn't see men or women. अगर लड़कियों के साथ होता है तो लड़कों के साथ भी हो सकता है. Just because I was wearing lipstick, I was wearing this thing. Even when I travel by local train, lot of time instances have happened where guys have stopped me to enter the local train. वो लोग बोलते थे आप जैसे लोगों के लिए नॉर्मल फर्स्ट क्लास कंपार्टमेंट नहीं, आप जैसे लोगों के लिए वो सेकंड क्लास कंपार्टमेंट है, हैंडीकैप कंपार्टमेंट के पास भेज दिया. आई वाज लाइक भैया मैं हैंडीकैप नहीं हूँ. सो दे थिंक होमोसेक्सुअलिटी पीपल आर हैंडीकैप्ड पीपल. मैंने बोला मैंने फर्स्ट क्लास का टिकट लिया है, पास है मेरे पास, व्हाई वोंट आई गो? नहीं आप जैसे लोग यहाँ पे डिसेंट लोग ट्रैवल करते हैं, आप जैसे लोगों के लिए वो हैंडीकैप वाला कोच है. My question is, why this gender stereotyping issue has evolved in our society? Why it has taken a trend? Why people are so gender conditioned? Let me put it that way. चलो रेप भूल जाते हैं. Why people are so gender conditioned? Only girls can go to gym. Only girls can wear, pink color clothes. Guys can't wear pink color clothes. Only girls can play with dolls. Guys can only play with bat, football, cricket, whatever. Only girls can cry. Guys can't wear cosmetics. It's a big social taboo. मैंने जब पहना था, lipstick, the first thing, I got a comment that, I feel like vomiting. Someone told me. One auntie came to me and said कि आप समाज के नाम पे धब्बे हो, आपको देख के मुझे उल्टी आ रहा है. So these are the comments. So my only thing is, I'm not trying to differentiate between straight and LGBTIQ community, but today I just want to put forth a question in front of you all the 88 people out there. Why, if you guys have certain norms to live life according to your own way, why can't the queer people have certain norms to live their life in their own way? अगर आपको शादी का अधिकार है, अगर आपको फैमिली बनाने का हक है, हमें क्यों वो अधिकार नहीं मिलता? Yes, we got the consensual gay sex rights on 6 September 2018. The High Court of India, of course, they made scrapped Section 377. Now Jan 8th, we are awaiting judgment for right to marry. Hopefully, the judgment will come in our favor. Fingers crossed. But I want to ask this question to those people who bully us, who, of course, the survivors, the rape survivors, who sexually assault us, who make fun of us, all the homophobic people. आपके लिए ये बहुत ही साधारण सी बात है. It's very cool thing for you because you are hiding behind the camera and you are doing all these things. So it's very good for you. But let me tell you this, because of your one homophobic comment, there are other people who actually want to come out of their closet, but आपके वजह से वो लोग अपनी हिम्मत हार जाते हैं. and sadly, they commit suicide. After this pandemic, we have lost at least 10 people from our community. For me, that 10 people is equal to 100 people who committed suicide just because they were bullied, they were harassed, they were sexually harassed. पुलिस, हम लोग बोलते हैं पुलिस भगवान के समान होता है, they protect us, whatever. When police people are themselves are telling us to sleep with them, where are we supposed to go? Where is our law? Where is law separately for male rape? I'm sorry, I'm trying to differentiate over here, but I want to say there has to be a law for the LGBTIQ community. If you are giving us legal rights, आप law बनाइए, ऐसे law बनाइए जहाँ पे where all the homophobic people, if someone is trying to de-shame us, put us down, or sexually assault us, put them behind bars. Bring a law which kind of teaches them a lesson. This gender stereotyping, this gender foundations has to stop, guys, because it's putting lot of pressure on an individual. I am myself a suicide survivor too. I tried killing myself 4 years back when I didn't have any other option. मुझे बोल दिया गया था कि मुझे जॉब नहीं मिल रहा था. I was rejected by almost 20 companies because I was gay. Just because I was gay, no one saw my skills, what skills I have. उन्होंने मुझसे पता है क्या बोला? They openly told this on my face that there are a lot of decent people who work here. We can't afford people like you. आप लोग atmosphere को pollute कर दोगे. Someone saying that gay homosexuality is a communicable disease. ये फैलता है. Few years back, I was asked to vacate a PG, a paying guest, at 12 in the midnight at peak winters in Delhi, because society wale told that guy saying that this kind of disease ये बच्चों पर बुरा असर पड़ता है and it's a communicable disease. आप इसको भगा दीजिए, इसको बोलिए कहीं फुटपाथ पे जाके रख ले. Why would we stay in footpath? Why can't we have that dignity? Why can't you see everyone as one human being? That's what the question is. So we say, right, बच्चे हमारे future है, younger generation. That's why we ask you, if you are an ally, if you support the LGBTIQ community, now you should carry forward the legacy and tell this society that, you know what, there are two words which is very, very important in today's date: acceptance and respect. Every individual, no matter whoever or whatever they are, you just need to accept, you need to respect everyone. And it's our basic rights. We are not terrorists, we are not mass rapists, we are not drug addicts. We are human beings and we have all rights to live the way we want to, and we have all rights to choose our partner. And उनके साथ शादी करना. This is what we are asking, basic rights, the dignity. So it's your duty, I want to conclude this panel discussion saying that it's your duty to educate, to create awareness as much as you can to all the individuals out there, and make this planet hatred-free, and let's fill this planet with full of love. That's what I'm going to say. And yes, very important, keep smiling, keep living, and keep spreading lots and lots of love, because we all need it during this pandemic. Let's all love each other. Let's all be with each other. And yes, let's be happy. That's what I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Balaji. And like you rightly said, there's no gender for happiness. Thank you for spreading the happiness amongst us. And we will make sure that we carry on the legacy and we bring a change in the future.
Thank you so much. That's what I need. Thank you so much.
Definitely do that. And you will be very happy and proud of us. And we are very proud and happy to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So, like we now saw about how there are rapes in the male community as well, and in the LGBTQ space, we have Ms. Divyangana Trivedi, who is a law student, an author, and the founder of a newly formed non-profit organization, Villainpe, which is a childcare service. She has been awarded as the best speaker and debater at the English Debate Cluster. Ms. Trivedi believes in helping the needy without any gender bias and believes that humanitarianism is the need of the hour. She strongly expressed her views on modern-day feminism in spite of receiving criticism for the same. Her book is based on problems in legal and political aspects, and it also provides solutions through these problems in a very optimistic manner. She's been able to achieve all this at a really young age because of her determination, passion, and will. She believes that a change needs to be brought at grassroots levels and is here to tell us how we as individuals can help in preventing rapes and how we as individuals can help bring a reform in the country. I would request Ms. Divyangana to kindly take over.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't know if I deserved so much appreciation, but and also the valuable insight provided by Shraddha ma'am and Balaji sir. I think my internet's pretty unstable. I hope I'm audible. Am I? All right. So the insight Balaji sir and Shraddha ma'am provided, I think it summarized most of my points. Shraddha ma'am talked about how women are discriminated against. And Balaji sir also mentioned how it's not about gender. So basically that's also my area of conversation. There's some audio. Can somebody, okay. So basically, like when we're talking about rape, there's another thing that I'd like to talk about, that is, it is gender neutral. But even though the IPC is 158 years old now, it still does not recognize male rape. And there are other provisions also in our constitution, which is not gender neutral. The idea was obviously to uplift women, but they did not recognize the fact that every gender faces injustice under different stratifications of injustice. So I had this, the Indian judiciary has been presupposed to be inclined towards protecting women, but with time, it's been the judiciary only who recognized the misandry, the despotism in disguise, which actually curtails gender equality in every sense. It's also imperative to note that 3 bills were proposed in 2000, 2012, 2013, which proposed a gender-neutral rape law only for victims and not perpetrators under Section 375 of the IPC, and a gender-neutral law for sexual assault under Section 354. But the things haven't changed even as of now. I'm not saying that the assaults suffered by women are equal to that of men, but minorities are not insignificant. So, and also there was this survey by Center for Civil Society, where the report said that 16.10% males claimed a female perpetrator. So law mein, like abhi tak bhi, they say that female is the victim and males are the perpetrators, but the facts say differently. And 2.10% were the male perpetrators in that particular report. And the NCRB gave a report where it was said that 81 men committed suicide as compared to 72 women committing suicide after sexual assault. So, and also there was this Justice Verma committee which talked about the same issue. Insia Dariwala, he's a filmmaker, and he made an online survey where it was given that 71% males were abused in their childhood. Like Balaji sir also mentioned his story, and it's really inspirational to hear from you. The reason what he gave was exactly what the report also said. 43.5% of the males who suffer sexual assaults, they do not talk about it because they feel they'll not be believed. That's what it was given in the report. And 1 of 2 children are abused and 52% of them are boys. All these statistics surprised me also, because all we've been told is that women are raped and how women are assaulted, but all the issues are not given enough coverage. So moving towards the solution part of all of this, I often hear my mother, like she is a psychologist. So मैंने उन्हें सुना है ये बोलते हुए कि, you give me a child and I can make that child a teacher or a terrorist. So you know how much it is from the brain, like how much it is about psychology. We are taught, like अभी I'm an amity, so वहाँ पर law के साथ psychology भी पढ़ा रहे हैं, but there's still not enough focus on psychology being related to law, whereas it directly deals with law. Because you see, there are 2 kinds of changes that we can talk about when we're talking about solution for rape. One is the primary change, then is the secondary change. So the primary change would, of course, include education, sex education, and proper imparting of knowledge that every child should get, and all the opportunities and all of that. The secondary would, of course, be the punishment and the implementation of laws. So for the secondary, I think the only thing I could think was that proper surveillance cameras on like after every maybe 1 kilometer or so, like with proper management, and the installation of police stations after every 1 kilometer or so. But you know, the problem is rapes also happen inside the houses. So what do you do there? So for that, we need the primary changes to occur in the first place. And for that, education has to be dealt with really well. Like Satvika ma'am mentioned about my NGO. So this was an experiment I did actually. I actually wanted to go to these kids and see how much they know already. So it was near nothing. Like those people hardly knew something. So I felt like, you know, I should teach them self-defense and all of that. So we came together as a team, and regardless of their genders, we told them how you're supposed to defend yourself. जैसे अब एक सिचुएशन सपोज कर लेते हैं, 72% of the murders they are done against men. That's a report by NCRB, I guess. So now over there also, जो कमजोर दिख रहा है उस सिचुएशन में, उसके अगेंस्ट क्राइम हो रहा है. Let's look at it like that. So everybody needs to be physically capable to be able to fight for themselves. That's now the tertiary measure here. Self defense is also a part of it. So they say that नहीं सीखेगी वो self defense, तुम अपने आप को control करो. Okay, agreed. That's perfectly fine. And we are not supposed to cultivate a culture where people don't feel safe in. But we can always have preventive measures for us. We can teach self-defense to everybody. Like we know that rape is gender neutral, like Balaji sir also mentioned. So I think self-defense should be involved, like inculcated in basic education at the primary level. So that's one thing. And yeah, I think that would serve the purpose. And maybe we can work towards a better society with that. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much what I want to convey. Thank you. And if any questions, then please go forward with it.
Yeah, Divyangana, thanks a lot. Thanks to all the panelists. Wonderful, wonderful session. Divyangana, as you were talking about solution, what I feel personally that definitely we have to teach them self-defense. As in HR, we do every year conduct a self-defense program for our students, and there even boys attend. If you will find it was like we never said that it's only for girls, because as Balaji said that it's not that only women's are raped. So even boys are raped. Once you will surprised to hear there was one session which every year we used to conduct so many such programs as WDC and HR are very active in this. Once we were I think so it was with Safe City. So the same we were talking about the problems and the rape and all these things faced by women. One boy stood in the entire crowd. I think so that time there was around 150, 200 students sitting in one seminar room, and then he stood and he said that, "Ma'am, you just spoke." Balaji, you will find very interesting to hear this. That he stood and he said that you just spoke so many things. You gave so many laws, act, like everything, like this. Like if this happened to you, you register your case under this. If this happened to you, register your case under this. What and where we should go and where we should register if something wrong happened to us as a boy, as a male. So do we have any provision? So what it means that society doesn't accept that nothing can happen to boys. It's not like that. So ma'am, I just want to know that where we should go if something wrong happened to us. What provisions are made for us? And it was like for a moment, it was like entire seminar room was silent, and she was also like, what answer she should give. And it was luckily, definitely she was from NGO, so she must be facing such. She said, "See, I only can tell you that you can register FIR." So that provision law has given you that if something wrong happened to you, there is no sexual abuse or any for boys. The only thing where you can, from law point of view, I don't know, Divyangana, as you're studying law, you can throw some light on this. From law point of view, it was very, I think so around 6-7 years back this happened. From law point of view, I can only say that only you can file FIR. So is there any changes which has come in law where which protect boys also if something happen, if something wrong happened to them, so where they should go and
Ma'am, as of now, male rape has not been included in the definition, even though a lot of men's right activists have been talking about it. But, and even like I mentioned, there were a lot of bills that were about to be passed. KTS Tulsi sir, who's a very senior advocate in the Supreme Court of India, he also made a lot of like appeals, but it did not get passed. Even today, only women are seen as victims and males are seen as perpetrators. And only the POXO Act is gender neutral. So young boys can, but like there's this Juvenile Justice Act, which is also now under a lot of discussion. But as of now, there's nothing like male rape that is recognized under the law.
Balaji, I just want to pose question for you. Are you there? Balaji? Balaji, are you there? He's there?
Ma'am, 1 second.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. Yes.
Hi. Balaji, what I feel, and I just want your opinion on this, that we are doing so many programs and so many measures on preventive measures and actions and laws which should be changed, and government should bring changes in these things so that at least we cannot stop it completely. We should accept, but at least we can take measures and steps to minimize as much as possible. So what I feel, Balaji, and I want your opinion on this, that don't you feel that since childhood, the parents should tell our children, every family, everywhere, that this is right, this is wrong, and you should, as you said that your father used to say, you should learn to say no. So as a parent, it's a responsibility of every parent to teach their child that they should know, they should learn to say no. They should learn to say no, and this is right, this is wrong. ये एक लाइन है, इसके बियॉन्ड कोई भी आपको पास नहीं करना चाहिए. अगर आपको इसके बियॉन्ड किसी ने भी पास किया, तो definitely you have to report, you have to speak up, you have to stand up. So this is also needed in the society. That's what I feel, and I want your opinion and your thing on that.
It's very important. I mean, that's a very good point. Of course, parents should start teaching their kids the meaning of consent and the meaning of no. This is a very small word, but that it's very effective. It's very powerful. You know, if you learn saying a no, that's what people say. No, learn saying a no. Learn to say a no. You know, that's very important, which I didn't realize when I was a child. So I believe since when a child turns 5, right, at the age of 5, so they start kind of, realizing about a lot of things in terms of gender. That's where the parents, should start educating their kids, what is right, what is wrong. And of course, I'm not telling from this LGBTIQ perspective, gender perspective, I would say that you should let your child be himself or herself. That's where they can, you can nurture your life your child in a full end manner, So you should try to educate your child, about gender. Start talking to them about what is gay, what is lesbian. I know they are very small to understand, but you need to start teaching them. When I remember last year, there was this NGO called Denied, where I was a part of a session where I was asked to take a session, gender inclusivity session, a basic gender inclusivity session for the students of, I think, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, So it was very challenging, and I thought, I don't even know, how should I tell? But today's generation, kids are so intelligent, ma'am, I would say they understand all these things because they see television, bolte na, thanks to media, thanks to television, वो लोग ये सब चीज दिखाते हैं, so they see it and they try to understand themselves. So when I tried telling them the meaning of gender fluidity, there was a girl, who came up to me. She's in class 4th, So she came up to me and I asked her, what is gender fluid? She just told me in one line, Balaji, gender fluid is something where you get to be yourself without caring society's approval. This is what she said. at the age of 4, we are in class 4th, and this is the kind of thought process you have. So आप समझ जाओ कि जब आप when you start educating your kids, when you start creating awareness, till what extent they can go. So I would humbly request to all the parents out there, start educating your kids. It's high time. Start telling them about gender equality. That's how you can, like, kind of, build that inclusive nature. That's where they will get to understand a lot of things. हम लोग ये जो बोलते हैं ना, bullying, ये सब चीजों को रोक सकते हैं उनके माध्यम से. So I think the only solution to this is creating awareness. Start creating awareness. Start spreading education as much as you can. Educate people. No, don't start hating someone. Don't be angry or whatever unless they are harming you. But it's your duty. I have got so many questions where people come and ask me that, are you trans? What are you? Do you feel the need to go for a surgery? I explain it to them. It's our duty, right, to explain it to them what exactly I am. Anyone would be confused. Naturally, there are 88 people over here. I'm sure half of them would be thinking that, what is he? Is he a he or a she? Is he a trans? What is it? And it's not their fault. Of course, no one would understand. We need to educate them. We need to make them understand what is it. Then only maybe you can achieve that halfway where you can stop all these things, bullying, sexual abuse, whatever it is, like, So yeah, education awareness is which I think parents play a very important role in that. So parents should start taking that initiative more than anyone else.
Adding to that, I remember that in my school, they straight out refused to teach us chapters that covered biology. And I'm just thinking, as a child, I can't learn about my own body or a man's body. How am I supposed to go out in the world? And sex education then, of course, doesn't even come in the picture. And talking about like gender, non-binary genders and all of it, I think as much as the parents and teachers need to educate the kids, we also need to have a syllabus that covers all this. Because I don't think our syllabus is also very binary, female, male, aisa hota hai, and shadi ke baad sex karte hain. And
true.
Yeah, and sex also, you would do it only because you have to have a kid. I mean, you can't have sex for pleasure, especially when it's women's pleasure. Or
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, you can. You said there should be a syllabus. There should be a syllabus. Even I believe, because in our society, this word, I don't know what crime this word has done. I fail to understand. Like, you cannot even pronounce, you cannot even spell, you cannot even say what, where are we living? If we will not teach them, if we will not teach our children in a right manner, the world will teach them in a wrong manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to teach them in a right manner. And if we fail to teach them in the right manner, they are going to learn. But they are going to learn from a wrong people in a wrong manner.
Okay, I think this calls for a story of how I actually got to understand how intercourse happens. I think I was in 9th class when my parents are watching this. I hope they don't get... I was in 9th standard when a friend of mine literally took a pen and a sharpener, and she said that the pen is the penis and the sharpener is the vagina, and this is how sex occurs between a man and a woman. So because I couldn't learn it from my textbooks, I had to learn it in such a horrifying way. I think I remember not having food for an entire day when I learned that we need to do this, and like there's something that's going to go inside a woman's vagina. And I also know of friends who, who've learned these things in a very wrong way. And we at least are privileged, educated kids who still have resources to learn. We have internet, but then there are many places where there's no accessibility to internet or any kind of other resources. And the only way they learn this is, I think this is a whole another topic, but either through somebody who's experienced, who's had sex and is going to tell them the story of how they've had it, which mostly is kind of rapey. The consent even there is not very well established. In Indian culture, it's like a first night, the woman and a man supposed to have sex. So even there, and another great way through where people learn to have sex is pornography, and which is absolutely farthest thing away from the reality, and that is how they learn. And even there's so much violence, and then there's borderline consent issues, and there are things that's not how it should occur, and this is not how.
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, Shraddha, I would completely agree with you. That's a great point by you and made by ma'am. There should be sex education should be prioritized. I think in all all the schools. Honestly, when I talk about from the queer aspect, there are so many people who have asked me this question. I'm sorry if someone gets uncomfortable. Please stop me then and there itself. They've come and asked me, okay, fine, straight people, we know how they have sex, but what about gay people? How are they going to have sex? This is what the questions I've got. How do you guys do it?
Yeah.
First question. So of course, that point of time, what would you say? I mean, so it's very important to make that gender neutral sex education, I
Yeah.
would say, to have that in all the schools, because so that we don't get to hear these kind of questions. Even still, I get these kind of questions
And with the
every single day.
with the existing stigma and taboo attached to sex, these kind of things and especially to make kids have this curious mind and to make them explain how all of this process works becomes really difficult. And I'm so glad, while you were mentioning your story, you said that when your father sat you down and he explained to you how consent work, and this is when you understand that what's been
Yes.
happening to me has been, yeah, I think that sort of really sets a benchmark for kids education. And brilliant, Balaji. I'm so touched. I'm so sad that these things. I know this is not an isolated incident. Unfortunate it is that it's not an isolated incident. I know that this has happened over and over again.
But honestly, and
So,
let me tell you, Shraddha, I mean, I think this is my second platform
yeah,
where, I'm sorry, second, I'm saying this is my first ever platform where I'm describing my child sexual abuse surviving moment. Actually, I've never done it. Even in TED Talk, they asked me to do it. I said, no,
right.
I don't want to. Somewhere I had that, objection, nahi, mujhe nahi karna. I think I don't
Hmm.
want to speak about it. I was always scared. I'm not ashamed to say this. Still, of course, I get I told you yesterday, right? I get goosebumps and I go back there.
Yeah.
So yesterday when you guys were talking, I said that no, I need to speak about it. I need to come out of it. Kab tak I'll be scared and I'll be scared of people, to talk about it. I need to come out, and that's where I said no. I want to talk about it. No matter, I will tell them step by step whatever has happened with me.
Yeah.
So it's very very important to, that's what, to tell what, so that you get out of it. You don't
Yeah.
kind of keep thinking of, though of course when I start telling my story, I go back there, and I start kind of feeling thoda sa uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, today, if I'm walking onto the stage or wherever I go and I talk about it, proudly about it, I don't know how I gather so much courage to talk about it, but still, somewhere takes me there. I was like, okay, fine, I've gone through. Still, I kind of become very shocked. बहुत ही unbelievable moment हो जाता है कि okay, I've done those things have happened with me and have survived, and I'm sitting here and I'm telling all the students out there that क्या हुआ मेरे साथ और क्या करना चाहिए. So I
You know,
think somewhere to all the students out here, I want to say that, be positive, have that willpower in you, don't give up. I've seen a lot of people giving up. I know it's very, very difficult, but don't give up, guys, because for someone else who have done this to you or whatever, I mean, you deserve to live. You deserve to tell people, you deserve to be strong, you deserve to live at the end of the day, happy go life. So yeah.
speaking of which,
Balaji,
sorry, let me finish. Speaking of which, Balaji, rape survivors usually even they sort of, it takes their whole lives to get over the trauma. And so I would like to learn from you, how does all of this plays into your mental health? You said that when you recount this incident, you go back to that, and I'm sure that that's a very difficult process.
I honestly go back. Of course, I have anxiety disorder. Of course, I mean, again, I won't be ashamed with the fact that to tell that,
Yeah.
it's, I've been through depression. I've been through schizophrenia, psychosis, extreme, where I've kind of, felt, I've touched death and I've come back, I told you. So it has been very, very difficult for me to manage my anxiety. So whenever people make fun of me or whatever, yes, I do give it back, but वो under 0.5% somewhere,
Yeah.
I feel, oh my God, what's been happening here? Why suddenly things are becoming negative all again? तो उसको जुटा पाना, उसके साथ, to live is sometimes it becomes difficult for me, but thankfully, I do yoga, because people say, yoga kya hota hai? Firstly, when I said this to people that I do yoga meditation, people started laughing. But Then when I told them what exactly I feel when I do yoga or meditation, then it feels great. Your thought process changes. You kind of you attain some. You feel that you have gone to heaven. And that's how you kind of come out of your negative thoughts. So your negative thoughts, how it happens, like you keep thinking, the thoughts multiply, and that's how your negative thoughts come in, right? So to avoid that, what I do is, of course, I have certain hobbies. I read books, I sing. So to get out of it, I do a lot of things which makes me happy. So this is the very simple procedure which I follow. And yeah, I walk with pride. This is what I need to do, right? At the end of the day, I mean, no one can stop me at the end of the day to do what I'm doing, because no one has authority to say that, unless I'm harming someone. At the end of the day, I just need to walk with pride. There are so many people who wants me, who needs me on a daily basis, who tells me that, save my life. My parents are, getting me married to a girl even after knowing that their child is gay. So लोगों को मेरी जरूरत है. So I'm a people's person, I would say. उनके वजह से I'm living, because they need me at the end of the day. So I need to keep going. I need to change people's perspective, and I need to keep educating. Yeah.
I think someone else has something to say.
Yeah, Devik was saying something.
Yeah, actually, we had questions related to the topics you were mentioning, so I was just going to point out those questions.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So here was a question for Balaji, you and Shraddha. Karuna wanted to ask that how she wanted to understand basically how to be an ally to a survivor. So the
Right.
people are...
Right. I think I'm sure that Balaji would be able to tell this efficiently. But what my understanding has been that to be an ally of survivor of any sexual assault or rape survivor, we need to believe them. We absolutely need to believe stories that women come out with. We have Priya Ramani, who's a fantastic journalist and who's fighting against a union minister and the 97 lawyers. Okay, and despite around 20 women who's accused him of sexual assault, he's still out on the streets and continuing to do what he does. So it's very important that we believe stories of women. We listen to them. We listen to them very carefully. We don't patronize them. This often happens, when we come out and tell our stories, what other person, and I'm sure that they mean well while they do this, but they say that, ye to sabke saath hota hai na. It's okay, this happens with everybody. But this sort of patronizing kind of attitude, or belittling your experience by comparing it with somebody else's, doesn't help survivors. It never helps survivors. And I think this abuse kind of happens when you're a child. It starts from when you're a child, or it happens when you're reach a teenage level, when you're at the teenage or little older. So when we start telling children that, we believe you, and please, when we believe you, then is when they'll start telling us stories. Like Balaji, when his father told him that, when he explained consent, and then is when he got the courage to come out. So I think that to listen to and to be an ally, not just, individually be an ally, but also socially and culturally be an ally. Go for protest, sign up petitions, and individual help, do everything that you can. Question your conservative parents if they say something that regards boys will be boys, and sets them on a pedestal and say that women need to stay home and do this and that. Yeah, Balaji, I think you should.
Yeah, I think I would completely agree what Shraddha said. But I want to add on something. The first thing you need to make them feel is make them feel comfortable. They would be saying a lot of things, which might be strange for you, which you might not be able to believe. Like, as I said, male rape or sexual means, a couple of people who might not be able to understand kya ho raha hai uske saath. Like, even when I told, of course, when I wanted to come out to my friend, my very own best friend who was friends with me for 10 years, I wanted to come out to them. I come out to him and I say that mere saath ye hua, and I'm gay and whatever. He left me. He disowned me. He's saying that he's from a religion where homosexuality is considered a big sin. Paap hota hai. So he said that we can't be friends. And his parents told him that never let Bala enter our house, because, he is like this and it's a communicable disease. This is what they said. So, you know, uh, I think the first thing you should how to be an ally to a survivor, I think you should make them feel comfortable, have that trust, as Shraddha said, and you know, uh, try to help them out in a best manner. Because I let me talk from a corporate angle over here. There are a couple of my friends who are working in IT sectors, and IT sectors, not every IT sector is LGBTIQ friendly. There are a couple of plenty of still IT sectors. I think Divyangana and Shraddha would agree with me, who are still homophobic, who have that homophobic atmosphere, and who have that kind of atmosphere. So they face a lot of issues. So my own friends who are gay and who have been working in this IT sector, so they have been facing a lot of issues. So they said, Bala, what should we do? When we try talking to people, they don't talk to us. Even HR doesn't entertain us. Bosses, the boss, of course, the seniors, they discriminate during promotions or giving work or whatever. ये तो gay है. So it's still happening, ये, for some people, even I was not able to believe for the first time. I was like, ये क्या हो रहा है? But it's still happening in corporate sectors too. It's still happening, So it's very, very important to first have that comfort zone, that trust, and to make people that person understand that you are with them. That's very important. Make that person understand through your body language that aap uske saath ho. Then only he will feel comfortable. He'll open up more. Yeah, that's how you can be. It's a very simple thing, though. There is no rocket science over here. You just need to make that person feel comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the insight. It was really helpful. Divyanga, there's a question for you as well. So this was like, is there any, law related to stalking, and what are the actions taken against a stalker? Is there any law related to that?
Okay, so the IT Act, it had section 66A, which dealt with all this online, all the hate and all the stalking and all of that. But it was struck down 3 years back because there was an appeal which said that, it is infringement of privacy and freedom of expression and all of that. So now it no longer exists, even though it's still used. The Supreme Court gave a notice to the center that it cannot be in use. So it has been struck down very recently.
Okay. Thank you so much. Shraddha, as you mentioned in your answer, like that we should come up against our parents who are very conservative and, who have a different opinion towards things. So our parents are not comfortable with us talking about, like something related to sex education because they feel that it's not their place. So what should we do to, basically change that?
This is something that even I'm struggling with. I think what helps is, it has to be a gradual flow of communication with your parents. You need to sit them down. Of course, you need to sit them down and have a conversation, but you also need to give subtly, even in passing conversations, you need to make sure that they understand what kind of ideology you follow or what kind of thoughts you have in general about society, and a society that is so patriarchal. And I think then, my parents sort of came to realize that, I'm completely out of this whole conservative circle when I started openly talking about LGBTQI communities and, saying that I'm an ally. And then I said that the current establishment, of course, is not the proper precedent set for the LGBTQI community or for the women survivors, or they haven't done anything so far, in terms of getting rights. I don't think I'm like totally equipped to answer this, because this is something which I'm also, even now, I struggle with.
Krish and Shraddha, Divyangana and Balaji, if you all with me and you also support my view, what I feel that Shraddha, media is very important. In some or the other manner, these parents, if you're talking about parents who are 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 45-year-old, 30, they are in some other manner connected to media. They listen to news or they watch news. So if you'll find, like for example, how a housewife watching a 30 minutes ka program, in between we have lot many advertisement. Do you find any advertisement which shows like motivating parents to have a sex education with their children? Like how much percentage? Just count on percentage, no? Can't we make it compulsory? Like there has to be like the way we have every program, every movie which is not paid or in some or the other manner we watch. Like for example, you go in cinema, you watch movie, and there starting May you have so many ads. You know, upcoming movies, these that. The way you have an ad on tobacco, on smoking. Can't we have a small advertisement on this also? That says sex education is very important. Teach your children, explain them. There has to be an ad on this, no? That advertisement and media is going to play a very important role in this one. Another, like school should, as every child goes to school, the school should not only for namesake that we have organized a seminar or workshop for parents just to teach them bad touch and good touch. They should organize more and more such sessions and call parents to attend. It is very important for you all to make your child understand what is right and what is wrong. And the moment anything wrong happened to you, speak up immediately. And then this awareness will be created. The school and media are the only, that's what I feel, the only, I think so, area where if the work will be done, I think so, awareness will be created. That's what I feel.
Could I add to that? So ma'am, you mentioned like media, like you wanted the ads to be there. So, but ma'am, as far as, you know, like we've noticed, like the psychology of the people works very differently. तो वो ad ही बंद कर देंगे, वो कह देंगे 2 मिनट बाद आते हैं. Like मुकेश के लिए इतना था कि ये देखिए मुकेश, इसके लंग्स में टार है. वही लोग बाद में बाहर जाकर उसी सिनेमा के बाहर स्मोक कर रहे होते हैं. So I think there's a need for interference of psychology, human psychology, in media than actual ads in media.
Yes.
I think even I need to add something over here. Like,
Divyangana, you have completed my thoughts and you have given me, I think so, you have given a right words, like psychologist.
I think even I want to add some point over here when we talk about all these advertisements from the LGBTIQA space. Most of the ads still are, they show homophobic content. I'll be very honest to you. You know, still there is a perfume ad, deodorant ad. I forgot that which perfume. They openly tell, you know, मर्द होके तू लड़कियों जैसे लड़कियों की perfume लगा रहा है. Now in perfume also, you will discriminate which one is लड़कियों वाला perfume, which one is लड़कों वाला perfume. I mean, seriously, this is what is happening. And I feel somewhere even advertisements are nowhere solving this purpose. You know, we only see a couple of brands and all kind of coming up with LGBTIQ friendly, you know, ads or raising that rainbow flag during Pride Month. Pride Month hota hai. Every June is your Pride Month. In India, International Pride Month is October. So that time only you will see all these brands going crazy just to gain publicity, just to gain visibility. They will put a rainbow flag, you know, everything they will do. And uske baad, after June, bhul jayenge wo log. I have seen those brands, I have worked with them, those same brands, when I have gone to them to do something for LGBTIQ community, they have said a no. And those brands kind of, you know, go out and they say that they're LGBTIQA friendly, they support. No, I'm sorry, but advertisement somewhere I still feel it doesn't solve any purpose. It's still somewhere producing all homophobic content where they kind of gender neutral, they kind of genderization has kind of come up to an extent in advertising industry. So I would still say advertising industry is still somewhere they are producing some homophobic content, which is not solving any purpose, which is again making all different target groups to think, you know, about experiments and all these things. Yeah.
Hiba, now I just over to you. You can give a vote of thanks.
Okay.
Is there any question? Is there any more question or?
Yeah, ma'am, we have a few questions.
We have a few questions.
So, ma'am, should I go ahead?
If your panelists have a little bit time, they can throw light and answer their questions. Go ahead.
Ma'am, the panelists, are you comfortable with answering a few more questions, or
Yeah.
should we?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with a couple of them.
Okay, great. There's one question: are the juveniles who rape punished in the same way as adults? And adding on to that, should they be punished, as the same way as adults? The juveniles who are a part of the rape.
So who's to answer this?
This
is
was
there
a overall question to all
Open
three.
question.
okay? So Balaji sir or Shraddha ma'am,
No, I think Divyangana, since you're a law student, you're more equipped to answering this than I am, or Balaji. I think you should go ahead with this.
See, so basically, Juvenile Justice Act has always been like, something under a lot of discussion, and even now it is. So juveniles cannot be tried as adults. The only thing is you can fix the bar, the age. Like earlier, it used to be 16. And before that it used to be 18, but then they brought it to 16. Then again they've made it 18 because it's about the soundness of mind while we study law. So then we are told that if the person committing the crime is not of a sound mind and does not know what the person is doing, so they cannot be held accountable for that crime. Intention and actus reus, like mens rea is like the guilty mind, as per the legal maxim, and actus reus is like the act that you're doing. So if both of them are not there, you cannot call somebody a criminal. So children often do not fulfill that criteria, and that is why juveniles cannot be tried as adults. Only the age bar can be shifted as per merging psychology with law. That's what I'd like to answer.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Now we'll wind up. Now that we have come to an end of our panel discussion, I would like to thank all of our three panelists who have been so generous with sharing their experience and giving us valuable insight. But before we end, we have a special surprise for one of our panelists, our Balaji. As it's their birthday today, the students of the Women's Development Cell have planned something special for you. We really hope you like it. So here it is.
And we wish you a very, very happy
very happy birthday.
Very happy birthday to you.
Here's
a small poetry that our students have written for you. So I hope.
I can't see it. Can you just play it again?
It's an audio.
Yeah, it's an audio.
Oh, super.
फर्क पड़ता है हमें गुलाबी पसंद हो या काला, क्यों हमें समाज से ठुकराकर निकाला। हमें भी आपकी तरह चाहिए पूर्ण उजाला, हमारा भी रंग है बहुत निराला। खैर फिर भी लोगों को क्या फर्क पड़ता है। हाथों में कड़ा और पैरों में घुंघरू, क्यों समाज ने की ये लड़ाई शुरू। हमें भी स्वतंत्रता चाहिए चाहे जो भी हम करें, समाज को पाठ सिखाने भगवान तू बना हमें गुरु। खैर फिर भी लोगों को क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। क्यों नहीं मिलता हमें समांतर सम्मान, नहीं है हम कोई गद्दार तो क्यों हमें बुलाए बेईमान। हम भी आपकी तरह हैं सीधे साधे इंसान, क्यों खेला ऐसा खेल हमारे साथ है भगवान। खैर फिर भी लोगों को क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। नहीं है हम कोई बिन बुलाए मेहमान, क्यों हमें नहीं मिलती समानता आपकी तरह जजमान। हम भी हैं कृतज्ञ आपकी तरह यजमान, क्यों ताने हम पर लिंग के कठोर तीर कमान। लोगों को क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। आपकी तरह हमारा भी धड़कता है दिल, हम भी जमाएंगे समानता की महफिल। क्यों हम खाएं असमानता और अपमान की कठोर किल। कभी आपने ये सोचा हाउ डू वी फील। खैर फिर भी लोगों को क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। जात पात के भेदभाव को जड़ से मिटाना है, देश के लोगों को हमारे महत्व का पाठ पढ़ाना है। यह स्वर्ण अवसर हमें बिल्कुल व्यर्थ नहीं गंवाना है, यह भेदभाव हमें समाज से हटाना है, क्योंकि अब फर्क पड़ता है। जी हाँ, बहुत फर्क पड़ता है और यही हमें साथ मिलकर समाज को समझाना है।
Balaji, I have one more thing for you lined up.
Is it a video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see that. I can't see that video.
God, when is it going to end?
Just
Yeah. I can just see my face on the screen. I'm sorry.
so sorry, just a second. Is it now visible?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I played it.
I'll start it. Okay.
लास्ट बेंच पे बैठता था किसी कोने में, शायद महफिल में हंसने से ज्यादा पसंद था उसे अकेले रोने में। सबसे फनी गाइस जो थे ना, उनके बार बार जोक मारने का वो विजन बन चुका था। अब तो मुंह छिपाए लड़कियां भी हंसती थी, जी हाँ, पूरे क्लास को हंसाने का वो इकलौता रीजन बन चुका था। ना ही वो कोई स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन था, ना ही लोगों को हंसाने का उसका कोई एम था, पर हर बंदा उससे खेल के जाता। जी हाँ, क्लास का वो फेमस गेम था। पर न जाने आंसुओं को क्यों छिपाता था वो। दोस्त समाज से कोई नाता न था, बस लेक्चर अटेंड करने आता था वो। फिर एक रोज जब मैं आ रहा था तो जो मैंने आज तक नहीं देखा वो हो रहा था। फिर एक रोज जब मैं आ रहा था तो जो मैंने आज तक नहीं देखा वो हो रहा था। जी हाँ, हमेशा से दर्द छिपाने वाला बंदा आज किसी से फोन पे बात करते करते सिसक के रो रहा था। जो बातें वो अपने डैड से कह रहा था वो मैंने जैसे ही सुनी, मेरे कानों में जैसे ही पड़ी, मानो एकदम से दिल को छेद कर आर पार हो गया। और जो चीज मेरे साथ आज तक नहीं हुई वो अब की बार हो गया, और वो है इतने सालों में पहली बार किसी अजनबी के लिए आंसू। इससे पहले वो मुझे देख पाता, पता नहीं मुझे क्या हुआ कि मैं झट से फट से उसके सीने से लिपट गया और प्यार से उसके सर को सहलाने लगा। शायद मैं उसकी माँ की जगह तो नहीं ले सकता था, पर चुप हो जाओ भाई, चुप हो जाओ भाई कहकर एक भाई का फर्ज निभाने लगा। अब उस दिन से मैं उसकी छत्र छाया में रहने लगा। जो बात अब तक सिर्फ अपने मॉम डैड से कहता था, अब धीरे धीरे एक एक कर मुझसे भी कहने लगा। जैसे बरसों से मुरझाए बगान में एक फूल नया सा खिलते देखा, जिसे फोबिया थी दोस्ती नामक शब्द से, अब से बेखौफ होकर इस नए दोस्त से मिलते देखा। और वो खुश नसीब था मैं। जी हाँ, मुझे इस बात की भनक तक नहीं लगती थी कि कब बात करते करते सुबह से शाम हो गया, और न जाने कब मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड की लिस्ट में उसका पहला नाम हो गया। जिसके हकदार वो बरसों से थे, कानून ने उन्हें वो अब दिया है। भला एक भी हक जो इनके हित में हो, बताओ ना, अरे बताओ ना, ये समाज ने उन्हें वो कब दिया है। पर आज उसे इस बात से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि ये समाज उसे एक्सेप्ट करेगी या नहीं, क्योंकि हुजूर वो खुद समाज को रिजेक्ट कर चुका है। अब मेरी जब भी उससे बात होती है तो बस मुझसे मिलने के अलावा वो किसी और बात का जिक्र नहीं करता। एक छोटी सी दुनिया बनाई है उसने अपने मम्मी पापा और LGBT ग्रुप के साथ, जहां वो उनकी, मेरी और अपनी छोड़ के किसी और की जिक्र नहीं करता।
Beautiful.
That was so lovely.
Thank you so much, guys. You guys literally made me cry. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you. I couldn't have asked for better birthday than this. Thanks a lot. That's what I could say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're so glad you liked it.
Thank you.
We hope it made your birthday special because
Oh God, a lot. I can't tell
busy.
you. I can't tell you since the first scene itself that made me cry, where he said last bench pe baithta tha, and I could really kind of get back to those moments where it touched my own journey. Thank you so much, guys. Commendable. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Now, guys, we've come to the end of our session on such a beautiful note. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session. Hope that you're departing this session with a positive mindset and a strive to change. I would like to thank Pooja ma'am also, who wasn't able to join us. And thank you, Sadia ma'am, for this opportunity, and your constant guidance meant a lot. And a special thanks to our unofficial team, Mehak and Zinia. And congratulations to our entire team for such a successful event. And let's meet at the after party.
Yeah.